Greeting, blade lovers. Greetings, greetings, greetings. This old sword is with you once again. It's early in the morn here in the Northeast, and it's chilly outside. That's the weather report, 34 degrees in New England. And we have a brand new fixed blade knife for you today. And this is from the noted grandfather, Godfather of tactical fixed blades and folders, Bob Terzuola, in concert with an Italian company, or really consortium, called MKM. Let's take a look at this blade and I'll chat you up just a little bit while I am showing you this fine little fixed blade. And it's a surprising little knife. So MKM, in case you didn't know, and I didn't know, I had to look it up, is a consortium, a collaboration of 4 of the larger knife makers in Italy: Lion Steel, Viper, Fox Knives, and Mercury. Never heard of Mercury. This is called the TPF, Defense. There you go, right there. There's the box. Comes in a number of beautiful handle colors, shall we say, materials. And I think there's also a blacked out blade. I got this from White Mountain Knives, and the range is going to be somewhere in like 165 to 200, 199 really, depending upon whether you get it in fat carbon, get it in the blacked out blade, what have you. This one is in a black carbon fiber. And they did an interesting thing here. Let's see if I can get you some close focus. What they did is put a texture. You don't normally see a texture in carbon fiber because they want the carbon fibers to show through. But this has a nice micro milling on the surface, giving you some traction. And not only that, this is, I got to tell you, it's a small knife. But it's a fist size knife. And when I started looking at the specs and ordered it, I said, this is going to be just too tiny a knife. But you know what? The magic of Mr. Terzuola's design is that he can make a small knife like this and it holds perfectly well. And the advantage is going to be it tucks away in a tiny little package. Although it does come with a very nice leather sheath. We're going to discuss that in a minute. Not Kydex, but leather. We've got jimping that is extremely grippy and effective. I'd say almost sharp. That is cut into the ramp here on top of the spine of the blade. Also back here, also grippy. Even though wherever you look, and this is kind of a signature of many of these Italian knives, is you have a crowned spine wherever you go, all the way around, except for this flat right here. The entire tang of the knife is crowned, meaning rounded, radiused. Not sure how well you can see that. It's imprinted here with made by not sure what this says. Looks like Makita, not Makita, the drill company, but Mikita, I think. Now that one is new, but it is an MKM knife, meaning it could have been made by any one of those 4 manufacturers that I mentioned. There is MKM, and yes, it is made from MagnaCut. And let me tell you about the MagnaCut. They are advertising this as an HRC of 61 to 63. Isn't that a comforting range for MagnaCut when we're used to seeing 59 to 61? 61 to 63. That's pretty darn hard for manufacturers today making MagnaCut. So, you know, when MagnaCut first came out, everybody started using MagnaCut, slow but sure. But they weren't hardening it up to the specs we'd like to see. This one is a different animal. Absolutely. So what do we got? We've got a Bob's very traditional, typical swedge here that gives you sort of a spear point. You could call this a drop point. I'd call it a drop point spear point. It's not a bayonet grind because that is not sharpened on top. It's a full flat. But that's nice because sometimes I like to lay the thumb way out there, and this means I'm not going to get cut. Could you sharpen that? Yes, you probably could, but it is a very short bevel. And speaking of that, we have this bevel here that's not particularly high, and yet the edge I found was pretty amazing for this particular bevel. I'll show you that my paper tears. This is actually what I was working on with it the other day. You can see I was able to shave. Look at that. It is incredibly sharp and bitey, I might say. And I know most Spyderco edges are extremely bitey. They're extremely fine and bitey. But I was surprised with this being such a short bevel grind here. They give you a pretty nice plunge grind with room to sharpen cleanly. And all of this, I'm sure, goes back to Bob Terzuola's designs. I mean, he just absolutely knows what he's doing. He wants to make a usable knife for us. And I think at the price point, this is a great deal, particularly in MagnaCut. Let's get some dimensions on it. We've got 7 1/4 inches overall and just about 3.5 inches on the blade with a cutting edge of a little over 3 1/4. Other dimensions, millimeters, okay. Pretty thick blade stock, 3.3 millimeters, looks thicker than it is. Switch to inches. In inches, we've got 0.12. And the handle, 0.63. So for a fixed blade, that's not really that bad. If it was a folder, 0.63 be maybe a little bit on the thick side. But here's the thing. It's a small knife, right? Got just enough for 4 fingers, a little left over. So that thickness really makes it feel bigger than it really is. You can get a grip on this thing. Got a nice little finger choil there. Not choil, but, groove. And I didn't turn the scale on. Too busy talking. All right. The weight of the knife alone is, wow, 2.81, call it 2.82 ounces. And if we put it back on there and add the sheath, we get call it 4.3. Let's talk about the sheath. They elected not to go with Kydex, which is becoming, all so common. We have made in Italy, see, made in Italy, a very nice stitched leather sheath. And this is not junk. Some of the Civivi sheaths, particularly the one that came with the Typhios, the convertible push dagger, that was really, I'm sorry, kind of a piece of junk. This is nicely made, about as nicely made as you're going to get on a commercial grade knife. And got a magnet. Now here's the thing, this is breaking in slow but sure. I probably had it in and out of here about 50 times. It is snug. When you first get this, the knife has not been in it, and it's all flat like that. But it stretches and conforms very nicely when you put it in and out of there a few times. It's universal, and you do have a little bit of back and forth play there, but in that way, you can put it in either direction. So left hand, right hand, and this is designed as a pocket carry. So slides into your side pocket, and then the magnet very definitely connects. Here's the problem in the beginning. If you snug this knife all the way down in there and put it in your pocket, it is not going to come out on its own. The whole sheath is going to come out. I suspect that's going to improve as you use the knife. So you may have to put up with that in the beginning, or get yourself a Kydex sheath made, or make your own, or what have you. But it's interestingly thought out, and it's not the first time MKM has given a sheath like this. I think Viper Knives offered some sheaths like this. It's a pretty strong magnet. Now, as another option, I've got to show you this. Look at. I don't know if I can show you this or not. See that sheath? That sheath is actually attracted to the blade. If I was to put it in like that, probably wouldn't come out of my pocket unless you're going to do some hard use out in the field. But that is enough to allow it to come out while retaining the sheath in the pocket. So those are all things to think about if you purchase the knife. Let's do a compare with another Bob Terzuola design by Civivi. This is the Tamashi, Japanese-inspired Tanto design. And yes, it is a Tanto. It's not the Lynn Thompson cold steel variety Tanto, but this is more like what the traditional Tanto or Quaken would look like. You can see this is a good deal bigger by probably 1.5 inches at least, with a blade about 3/4 of an inch longer. That's that. And then I always like to use this as kind of the standard because you're familiar with this one. This is the Street Beat Fred Perrin design by Spyderco. So the Street Beat's actually right in there about the same size. Yeah, with the blade right in there, same size. So if you know the Street Beat, then same size. This is pretty light as well, and this is a molded FRN sort of a handle that's completely encapsulated. Yeah, there's a seam, so I think they glue this on, but this is an excellent standard for a small fixed blade pocketable knife. What else have we got on the table here to show you? Well, how about this is going to be just a little bit bigger. This is the Custom Knife Factory Eagle Rock. A pricey knife, but I brought it out because it has some of the same signature design, although it is kind of a harpoon, as this fixed blade. It's kind of what Bob's been working with since, like, I think the 70s or 80s. I had some customs from him back in the 80s and unfortunately sold them off. Didn't think I was going to be knife collecting any longer, and they were beautiful knives. I had, I think, 2 or 3 of them, a boot knife and a custom-made Chris. Yes, that custom-made Chris would be worth thousands now. Stupid me, but you know, you don't know what the road ahead is going to provide for you. But again, this knife has lots of possibilities. You can use it definitely in point down, squares up very nicely, although you don't have an inner edge, but that's okay. It's still going to work for piercing if that's your thing. It is not a highly formed handle in terms of, you know, lots of places, deep swales for your fingers or anything. It's got that taper to the handle. It just fits in really, really well. I think the only knives that are going to be more ergonomic than this are going to be something like the Bastinelli series, where he really contours the handle. But this, for the materials, that really nice carbon fiber, and you can go fat carbon fiber with red in it and all kinds of good stuff for a bit more money. If you do shop at White Mountain Knives, be sure to use my discount code OLDSWORD. show you one more comparison. There we have the venerable Ontario Rat 1. Yeah, 2 inches longer and about a ½ inch longer blade-ish. We know it's not quite 4 inches, so it might be less than ½ an inch longer. Beautiful blade, beautifully done. I love the way that MKM and some of the other Italian makers make their knives. They just have they're such class acts. And I think the whole thing with the leather sheath is to give you that class act in spades. So there you go. The MKM Terzuola TPF, get the name right again. It is the TPF Defense, MKM TPF Defense. And I think TPF stands for Terzuola. I don't know what TPF is going to, if you know what TPF stands for, I tried looking for it, couldn't find it. If you know what it stands for, let me know. It's probably pretty obvious. It's probably out there in some of the Instagram blogs and so forth by Bob. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe. I will be back with you soon with some more new stuff.